Hunters, welcome back to another video. I just had a job interview, so I thought it was a perfect time to play Welcome to Karoshi Club. It's a horror visual novel about job interviews. That is all I know. Let's go. How did your job interview go today? Pretty good, actually, if I do say so myself. Okay. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I hope you all enjoyed the last visual novel we played. This looks like Harrison when one of his videos doesn't perform well. Welcome to the Karoshi Club. This is a story-driven game that does not have a save system. It requires you to complete your interview without any interruptions. Understood. Day 1763. Ring ring! Ring ring! We're playing as Kenji. The frosty timbre of a woman's voice emanated from the device. Greetings. Slight disarray invaded me, prompting a befuddled greeting in return. Hello? The unidentified voice persists. I am Hitomi Takamitsu, representing Kenyo Industry as a recruiter. A dialogue was scheduled for this time with Mr. Takeshi concerning an interview with our firm. May I confirm this is Mr. Takeshi, with whom I am conversing? Serendipity. What are these words? Serendipity pronunciation.
Serendipity.
Serendipity. Is this serendipity bestowing a gift upon me? It has spanned months since my employment ceased. My search for new employment has been steeped in desperation, yet futile. I've remained barred from even reaching the interview phase. Desperation has only swelled with every refusal. Dare I seize this unexpected opportunity? Dare I masquerade as Mr. Takeshi to garner an interview? But what then of the real Mr. Takeshi? And of my fate should my deceit be unveiled. My musing was interrupted by the individual on the line. Excuse me, are you present? I am unable to detect your voice. Can you confirm this is Mr. Takeshi? A subtle undertone of annoyance permitted the woman's voice. It's a woman? Sorry guys, I didn't realize. Do we truth or do we lie? Let's lie. Yes, this is Mr. Takeshi. My apologies for the delay. Acceptable. Ensure you recoil our prior agreement that I would return your call post-review of your... What? Acceptable. Ensure you recall our prior agreement that I would return your call post-review of your CV. I cannot say that word. That is Latin. Commendations are in order. The superiors found your qualifications favorable. Hence, an interview has been arranged for you. Clearly, this Mr. Takeshi possesses noteworthy skills. Fortuity graces me, bestowing such a fortunate instance in time and space. Oh, thank you very much. That was the sole utterance I could muster as a reply. Kindly present yourself at the office, detailed in the following address today. 111 Chukuko, Tokyo. A personal discussion regarding the sales specialist role awaits you. Farewell, Mr. Takeshi. Yeah, goodbye. Remarkably, I've accomplished it. A first interview, following a lengthy barren few months. My apologies linger, Mr. Takeshi. Albeit, for unknown reasons, you did not answer your call. Fortuitous luck, it appears, holding significance in the job-seeking voyage. The only remaining hurdle is to navigate through a successful interview. Provided they do not expel me upon uncovering my falsehood. Sometime later. Boarding the subway, my mind swirled in the vortex of an imminent interview. An oppressive fear burgeoned within. Fear of unmet expectations. Fear of error. Fear of initial perceptions. Fear of refusal. Fear of rivals. Fear of the unfamiliar. And paramountly, fear for the future. What does the future reserve for me? Merely slumbering once at my former employment has thrust me into nearly a year's endeavor of job hunting. Anxiety and fear is manifested as persistent shadows, ever present in my journey. Unknown woman with short hair. Did you catch the latest? The doofus isn't waving the white flag yet. My despairing contemplations of job-seeking stark reality were interrupted by the casual dialogue of two women. That took me like 8 attempts to try and read that. He's tossed his resume back into the ring. No way. He seriously thinks I'll give him another shot? What's this? His 6th swing at it? It seems they discourse about another individual. Similarly. Jeez. Similarly. Mired in futile job seeking. Their discussion exhilarates my own apprehensions. Here's the kicker. He's smacked down every time with just one word. No. And oh, keeping a straight face each time? It's a workout. What do you say we place bets on when this loser's gonna throw his hat in again? Does he get that with his track record, he's not even scrubbing floors there? With her rhetorical question, she succumbs to laughter. Her companion joins in, equally derisive in mirth. Derisive. Mirth. Her companion joins in, equally derisive in mirth. A bewildering unease envelopes me. Overhearing such dialogue is far from the mental preparation I sought prior to my impending interview. Self-doubt accelerates my heartbeat. Panic looms menacingly close. My surroundings begin to oscillate before my eyes. Desperation for stability, something steadfast consumes me. Even a moment's surrender would see me crumble on the subway floor. Composure is imperative. A surge of nervousness compels me to retrieve my resume. As I pick it up, shaking, I scrutinized it, weighing my prospects anew. Attempting to conjure positive thoughts, my mind is infiltrated by even graver considerations than before. Is my current opportunity genuinely merited? Sorry. It's mere luck, isn't it? Is this job truly necessary for me? Should I withdraw before potentially faltering? Is further experience necessary? Is previous rejection rooted in this? Am I deserving of employment? Am I adept for a role as a sales specialist? Questions mercilessly bore into my mind, yearning for answers. Kiwi's waking up. Answers I desperately require to all of these queries. Truth or lie? This time we'll go with truth. Does a resolution to that inquiry exist? In honesty, my knowledge reaches its limits. I am uncertain if I embody the right individual for this person. I harbor doubts about successfully navigating through this interview. My competencies remain under a cloud of ambiguity. I can't say words. Ambiguity. My competences remain under a cloud of ambiguity. It is so hard to pronounce words. The sole clarity lies in the understanding that without an attempt, success eludes me. Indeed, doubts may cloud my vision, but until an interview is secured, these worries, they stand as mere apparitions. My mind spins tales of anxieties, envisioning unencountered problems. However, contending with the non-existent is a futile endeavor. Initially, I must secure an interview. And if I fail it, only then does the problem materialize in reality. And reality, it can be navigated through negotiation. The train has arrived. Lost in reflections of whether my skills were sufficient, I scarcely noted my arrival at the designated spot. There I was, dwarfed by a towering, multi-tiered office structure. It cast a modern shadow over its antiqued adjacent building. The vast glass panes caught the sun's rays, shimmering warmly. Could it be that I might find my place within these walls? Joining a large corporation has long been a dream of mine. I pondered what experience lay beyond these formidable facades. Memories of the past began to sketch out visions of my potential workdays. Within, the pulse of daily commerce thrummed unseen. Someone, surely, was lingering over a fresh pot of coffee, exchanging words on the mundane. Others might be queuing for their turn at the communal printer, a bottleneck in their efficient day. And perhaps one or two sought refuge in a bathroom cubicle, stealing moments of respite. Such trivialities once wove the fabric of my own days. Now, amidst a job hunt stretching nearly a year, a sense of duality plagued me. Had I truly lived before the interlude? Or had I diminished to a mere spectre of former vitality? Eagerly, I anticipated stepping inside to soak in the ambience, if only for a moment. Observing the edifice and steeling myself at a forthcoming challenge, a tall girl's approach caught the corner of my eye. "Hello, you must be Mr. Takeshi, I presume." I guess this is the representative from the Kenyo industry. It's critical that now I maintain the facade I've crafted. Yes, I'm Mr. Takeshi. Okay. Her gaze pierces me with a glint of skepticism. Anxiety surges within me, fearful of my ruse crumbling to the dust. "Mr. Takeshi." Yeah. A shiver of foreboding courses through me. "I trust you found our location without trouble." Relief floods in, deflating the tension. "Absolutely. No issues at all. I appreciate your..." She cuts off my gratitude mid-sentence. "You're not really Mr. Takeshi, are you?" The jig is up. This is the end of the line. You've seen through me. What now? The situation remains as it is. Your actual name? But I misled you. Our firm values drive and ambition. Additionally, Mr. Takeshi has been unreachable. Hence, we're willing to consider you for the position. You are... Haishima. Kenji Haishima. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Haishima. Hashiyama? Sorry. Follow me, please. My mind reels from the turns of events. Here I stand, having deceived my way through the door, displacing Mr. Takeshi, yet opportunity still knocks. Has my string of luck not yet frayed to its end? So be it. I'll ride this wave as far as it will carry me. Employment is the prize. And I must seize it before anyone else, Takeshi included. As I shadowed Miss Takemitsu, a sense of unease crept in. Abruptly, It dawned on me that our destination wasn't the towering structure I had envisioned. Rather, Miss Takemitsu was guiding me towards its neighbor. A dated, robust 8-story edifice. But why? Where was this dream of a sleek contemporary workspace? Miss Takemitsu, shouldn't we be heading to the other building? No. Her response was brief and somewhat sharp. Should you succeed in this interview, this will be your place of work. My heart sank with disillusionment. The fantasy of a chic new office had been fleeting. Nevertheless, I braced myself to reconcile with the stark reality. As we stepped into the elevator, the ascent to the upper echelons of the building began. Destination, the interview suite high above where my future hung in its balance. With each floor passed, my heartbeat quickened, a crescendo of nerves. The confined space, the sterile glow of the elevator lights only fueled my growing dread. Retreat seemed more appealing with each passing moment. But it's too late. The sluggish climb skywards did little to calm my fraying nerves. Miss Takemitsu, is it always this slow going up? The elevator is rather dated. Patience is required. Oh, I see. Thank you. Her assurance offered no solace. The ticking clock became my adversary, each tick a loud echo of the time slipping away. Mr. Haishima, on our way up, might you share a bit about your life outside of work? About my personal life? Well, there's not much to tell, really. I moved away from where I grew up and kinda lost touch with my parents. And work, well, it used to take up most of my life. Never really got around to the whole marriage and kids thing. I guess I always thought my career should come first, and the rest would sort itself out eventually. I see. Her reaction was non-committal, inscrutable. Had she hoped for a different portrayal of my life? A fabrication involving a family, perhaps? And what about leisure activities? Is she probing for a workaholic's confession? Or genuinely intrigued by my life outside of the office? Hobbies, well, to be honest, I haven't had much time for hobbies. Work was pretty much it, improving my skills and staying on top of things, you know? Is that genuinely me? Lately, my pastimes have faded into the grey, the job hunt blurring days into a continuous loop. Have I been adrift in this limbo since the day I lost my job? Intriguing. Thank you. Miss Takemitsu's facade was a fortress, her emotions veiled. One could but speculate on her true thoughts, but our exchange had its intended effect. The dialogue outpaced the journey, and before I knew it, we'd arrived. This way, please. We've arrived. Time for the interview. I'm nervous. I stepped into a nondescript office, the familiarities a cold comfort. It was like every other room, a copy of countless others that punctuate the corporate world. Miss Takemitsu positioned herself behind a desk with an air of detachment. Please, take a seat. Sure, thanks. The pivotal moment had come. The dry spell in my career had been lengthy. This interview was a long-awaited break in the clouds. I couldn't afford to stumble now. The stakes were high. Questions loomed over the horizon of my mind. What could she ask? What could I say? Doubts about my qualifications nipped at me. Was I enough? Am I enough to read this thing? There's so many big words I don't understand. A temptation to embroider my past tugged at me. But what if truth was the better gamble? Time dragged its feet, each second bloated and heavy. I played out potential scenarios, Miss Takemitsu's reaction shifting like quicksilver in my head, none quite settling right. My thoughts, usually a sanctuary, became a tempest forecasting doom, painting me in the dreary light of future rejections. It's a cool tattoo on his hand though. Kinda like it. It's an eye. It was as if I fast forwarded to a future where I perpetually searched for work. A self-inflicting purgatory. But as anxiety threatened to overtake me, I pulled the brakes on the runway train of my thoughts. Reality came back to me. Miss Takamitsu was right there, the present of the Stark stage waiting for my performance. Mr. Haishima, your presence here today for the sales specialist role is much appreciated. Shall we commence with questions? Preparedness eluded me. Sure. I'm ready. Excellent. My first question. Where do you envision yourself in a century's time? 6 feet under. A curveball question. In 100 years? The realm of impossibilities, right? It was a given, an end to all, death, as certain for me as for all. Perplexed, I wondered at her aim. Perhaps this was a test of creative thinking? I decided to play along. A dash of humor might do the trick. I guess I'll be the most seasoned expert around. By quite a few decades. Very well. Itomi's expression remained unreadable. Now, may I inquire why you parted ways with your last employer? Let's go truth. Honesty is the only path, even if it is strewn with my own failings. Acknowledging where I went wrong is the first step to moving forward, isn't it? The job was tough. No two ways about it. Work till the wee hours, lots of night. Wasn't for me. Work till the wee hours? Is he Scottish? Work to the wee hours, lots of nights. Just wasn't for me, though a lot of us did. Then, one time, I just conked out right there at my desk. No clue how it happened. 1 minute I'm working, the next, I'm being shown the door. It all went down so quickly. The memory of being let go, it's all a blur, honestly. Okay. Your employment gap is noteworthy. Please explain its length. Do I be truthful or do I lie? Truthful. The truth has its own stark clarity. The veil of fiction feels too weighty to drape over my narrative. My last position was in an industry that's, well, not exactly booming. I was part of a small team making video games, a niche within a niche. I hit the job market, aiming to stick with gaming, but it's been a tough sell lately. So I've widened my search, you know? I'm up for new challenges, willing to learn. I'm just looking for a place where I can dedicate myself, really dive in. Once I was all about the gaming life. Now, I just want to work, to be a part of something. Success in this interview would lead to the position of sales specialist. Can you tell me about any experience you've had in sales? Oh, this is such a boring playthrough if I just be honest the entire time. But I feel like this is an important one to be honest about, right? We're gonna lie. Time to think on my feet. Fingers crossed she's not a gamer. Well, it's not traditional sales, but I did contribute to a project that saw impressive numbers. I had this concept, a courier sim in a post-apocalyptic setting. It was offbeat, but it caught on. Sales exceeded expectations, and there was a bit of a buzz. Some people even call me a genius. This is a gamble. Hopefully, it'll catch her attention. What sort of critical decisions were demanded of you in your previous positions? Could you detail the most strenuous challenge you've encountered professionally? Truth. Crafting worlds within a digital realm is a feat of Sisyphean proportions. Not to be confused with Sisyphine, that is Harrison. Indeed, the quandaries I've braved may appear trivial to the uninitiated bystander. With a hesitant resolve, I muster the courage to speak. My tenure in the realm of gaming creations was fraught with trials. A tug-of-war ensued between the vision of our financer and the heartbeat of our creative cadre. You know how many times I've Googled things in this to find out how you pronounce words? Cadre. Cadre. A tug-of-war ensued between the vision of our financer and the heartbeat of our creative cadre. It was an arduous balancing act, attempting to serve two masters, and I fulfill a duo of visions. Amidst this, the project's form morphed repeatedly, each iteration leeching our collective spirit. The most harrowing choice? To quell my own creative spirit and align with the financier, all the while preserving the essence of our initial dream. Such a concession was nothing short of a torment to my creative soul. Very well. It's common for unexpected developments to disrupt our schedules. Such instances may necessitate an employee's presence beyond regular hours. Your stance on overtime? Truth. The undercurrents of the questions are clear, yet I must tread carefully with truth as my compass. May I speak candidly with you? Candidly? May I speak candidly, Miss Takamishu? Candidly? Candidly? The prospects of persistent overtime is somewhat troubling to me. I understand that extraordinary circumstances require extra efforts to meet objectives. Yet, habitual overtime might suggest deeper systematic issues within the organization. Moreover, adequate rest can be a crucible for innovation and maintain a sharp focus on work. Thus, my presence leans towards a balance, steering clear of the chronic overtime where foreseeable. Such honesty may not align with her expectations. Nevertheless, I stand by my conviction, voicing my sincere stance on this delicate matter. We've noted your perspective. There are individuals who, due to insufficient income, opt to take on multiple jobs simultaneously. Your views on juggling multiple employment roles? Perhaps a touch of embellishment is called for. This scenario is not unfamiliar to me. There was a period where I simultaneously contributed to 3 different organizations. To some, this might sound overwhelming. Nonetheless, I succeeded in augmenting the productivity of each. Immersed in a continuous state of flow, I tackle challenges with relative ease. In my opinion, as long as it's within legal bounds and doesn't violate any existing employment agreements, such an arrangement can be beneficial rather than detrimental. May my response cast a favorable light on my capacity for adapting to hard work. Understood. Here's my final query. Your earnings and sale may be closely tied to your bonus acquisition. What lengths would you go to ensure that you receive it? We're gonna lie? An inquiry laced with implications. To what lengths, indeed? Is mere competence no longer the benchmark? I'm committed to exerting all necessary efforts. It's less about the financial incentive and more about contributing to the company's success and my own growth as a professional. I welcome the challenges that accompany such goals, be it improving processes, meeting sales targets, or any of the other objectives set before me. Any other objectives? Her phrasing cloaks a deeper meaning, one that eludes my grasp. We've concluded our discussion. That completes our assessment for the sales specialist role. I have no further inquiries. May I ask about the next steps? I will now proceed to communicate the outcome. So swiftly? Indeed, the dialogue has provided sufficient insight to determine that you're fit for our team. My mind raced to fabricate the right narrative. The job was crucial, and I'd bend my story slightly if needed, just a slight embellishment. Did Miss Takamatsu notice the finesse? Did I convey the depth of my needs convincingly? Because the need was dire. I gave it my all. Recapitulate? Oh my god, recap it. You late. Recapitulate. Let's recapitulate. Oh my god, one more time, please. Let's recapitulate. You were summoned unexpectedly to this interview, and you've navigated the surprise admirably. Promising start. I trust you found your responses satisfactory. However, wasn't it sufficient? Your performance isn't quite what we anticipate for the prospect of the sales specialist role. We seek someone dependable, yet capable of thinking outside of the mundane when the situation calls for it. Wait, we're in pursuit of someone with experience, yet unmarred by conventional approaches for the unique challenges we present. This isn't happening. We value honesty, yet we also require someone who can navigate complexities with finesse. This can't be happening. Do you comprehend, Mr. Haishima? The floor turned to quicksand beneath me. Her words were like a cascade, unbelievable as they hit me. I really tried. Here's my first interview after so long. And is this an immediate dismissal? But for what reason? What does she mean by those oxymoronic requirements? Who are they looking for? Where did I falter? Why does this always happen to me? Will there be another chance? Is this the end? I felt a swoon coming on, utterly staggered by her verdict. I thought I was braced for rejection. But in truth, I hadn't entertained the thought. I was simply in the right place, the right moment. A random choice brought me here. Was the decision predetermined? Certainly not. Mr. Haishima, this concludes our encounter. Please, no! Your time and effort today are appreciated. Please, not those words. Spare me the dreaded cliche. We'll call you back. And there it was. Meant to be words of hope. Yet, they snatch it away instead. I knew the call wouldn't come. Damn! Cool. Big fan. Hunters, welcome back to the same video. It's been approximately 8 seconds since the last recording. I've decided I'm going to do the other endings in one video. So we're just going to skip through everything until we get back on track. Excuse me, are you present? I am unable to detect your voice. Can you confirm this is Mr. Takishi? A subtle undertone of annoyance permitted the woman's voice. I'm going to give her the truth. I apologize. There seems to be a mistake. Mr. Takishi isn't present. My name is Haishima Kenji. A palpable silence ensued, followed by my own declaration. A brief interlude hung in the air before the woman responded. Peculiar, indeed. Are you certain Mr. Takishi is unavailable? I am, yes. Truthfully, I'm the only one here. I can feel the slip of what might be my lone opportunity for employment through my fingers. But to fabricate a lie seems amiss. May fortune favor Mr. Takishi wherever he may be. Well, farewell then. Halt! A query for you, Mr. Haishima. Is employment something you currently seek? Can it be? Is she genuinely considering offering me the employment? Given that Mr. Takeshi has failed to provide a response today, I might propose that you attempt an interview for the sales specialist role. Does the proposal pique your interest? Are you kidding? Of course it does. This is the stuff of dreams. I must maintain composure and marshal my thoughts. Yes, my interest is indeed captivated. Then proceed to our office. Utilizing the address, I shall subsequently provide. Today, 111 Tsukuji Kushoku, Tokyo. Sorry. Acknowledged. I extend my gratitude. Farewell. The woman concluded the call. An invitation to interview for employment at last rests in my possession. It teeters on the unbelievable. It appears that honesty bore the ripest fruits after all. Some time later. Please, take a seat. Sure, thanks. The pivotal moment had come. The dry spell of my career had been lengthy. This interview was a long-awaited break in the clouds. I couldn't afford to stumble now. The stakes were high. Questions loomed on the horizon of my mind. What could she ask? What could she say? Doubts about my qualifications nipped at me. Was I enough? The temptation to embroider my past tugged at me. But what if truth was a better gamble? Time dragged its feet, each second bloated and heavy. I played out potential scenarios, Miss Takamitsu's reaction shifting like quicksilver in my head, none quite settling right. My thoughts, usually my sanctuary, became a tempest, forecasting doom, painting me in the dreary lights of future rejection. It was as if I had fast-forwarded to a future where I perpetually searched for work, a self-inflicted purgatory. But as anxiety threatened to overtake me, I pulled the brakes on the runaway train of my thoughts. Reality came back to me. Miss Takamitsu was right there, the present, a stark stage waiting for my performance. Mr. Haishima, your presence here today for the sales specialist role is much appreciated. Shall we commence with the questions? Preparedness eluded me. Sure, I'm ready. Excellent. My first question, where do you envision yourself in a century's time? A curveball question. In 100 years, the realms of impossibility, right? It was a given, an end to it all. Death is certain for me as for all. Perplexed, I wondered at her aim. Perhaps this was a test of creative thinking? I decided to play along, a dash of humor might do the trick. Guess I'll be the most seasoned expert around. Ha! By quite a few decades. Very well. Itsumi's impression remained unreadable. Now, may I inquire why you parted ways with your last employer? We're going to lie on every single one. The truth was a precarious ledge. Best to construct a narrative that absolved me. Let it be an external circumstance, uncontrolled, unforeseeable. The thing is, the company's funds dried up, and it just folded. I really enjoyed my time there, actually. Made some great mates, and had a boss who was pretty decent. But, you know, all things come to a close eventually. I like to think everyone landed on their feet, found new gigs, and the higher-ups, I hope they settled any debts they had. For me, it was just the right push to explore something different. Fingers crossed she takes that well. I've shifted the spotlight away from any faults of mine, highlighted the positives about the past colleagues and the company. Maybe this shows I'm a team player, someone who speaks positively of others. Okay. Your employment gap is noteworthy. Please explain its length. Like, how do I appear in her eyes, I wonder? Perhaps it's time to cast a little value on my sabbatical. Sabbatical? It's Google time, folks.
Sabbatical.
Perhaps it's time to cast a little value on my sabbatical. Well, you see, I was in quite the predicament with a surplus of options. Decided to hold off on jumping on the next role right away. Thought I'd take a breather. You know, recharge and focus on personal growth. That little break, well, it stretched out longer than expected. Stumbled upon this opportunity somewhat serendipitously. And I figured, why not give this a shot? I hope that didn't come across too strong. Seems like a reasonable enough explanation, doesn't it? Success in this interview would lead to your position of sales specialist. Can you tell me about any experience you've had in sales? Lie. Time to think on my feet. Fingers crossed she's not a gamer. Well, it's not traditional sales, but I did contribute to a project that I saw impressive numbers. I had this concept, a courier sim, in a post-apocalyptic setting. It was offbeat, but it caught on. Sales exceeded expectations, and there was a bit of a buzz. Some people even called me a genius. This is a gamble. Hopefully it'll catch her attention. What sorts of critical decisions were demanded of you in your previous positions? Could you detail your most strenuous challenge you've ever encountered professionally? Lie. Truth be told, I've skirted such trials. Yet, I've witnessed peers and thrones of such predicaments. Perhaps it's my turn to don the mantle. In tale, at least. I've been tasked with some oversight responsibilities on occasion, specifically handling various administration problems. This also meant the unfortunate duties of letting employees go. There was an instance where it fell upon me to release 100 individuals. The act of looking into their eyes, understanding their plight, it was beyond daunting. That was undeniably the most burdensome decision I've ever had to execute. Indeed, the gravest challenge of my career thus far. Irony cuts deep, for it's always been awaiting the dreaded news, not dispensing it. Very well. It's common for the unexpected developments to disrupt our schedules. Such instances may necessitate an employee's presence beyond regular hours. Your stance on overtime? Lie. Her question is a hook baited for a specific answer. My perspective is to always consider the organization's need. The nature of existence is chaotic, making it difficult to adhere to the most basic timelines. This is amplified within a business context. I am prepared to allocate additional personal hours to ensure the company's smooth operation. Honestly, work and my private time are synonymous. Considering the absence of any significant personal engagements, my assertion was surprisingly forthright. We've noted your perspective. There are individuals who, due to insufficient income, opt to take on multiple jobs simultaneously. Your views on juggling multiple employment roles? Lie. Perhaps a touch of embellishment is called for. This scenario is not unfamiliar for me. There was a period where I simultaneously contributed to 3 different organizations. To some, this might sound overwhelming. Nonetheless, I succeeded in augmenting the productivity of each. Immersed in a continuous state of flow, I tackled challenges with relative ease. In my opinion, as long as it's within legal bounds and doesn't violate any existing employment agreements, such an arrangement can be beneficial rather than detrimental. May my response cast a favorable light on my capacity for adaptability and hard work. Jesus. Understood. Here's my final query. Your earnings and sale may be closely tied to your bonus acquisition. What lengths would you go to ensure you receive it? Like, an inquiry laced with implications. To what lengths, indeed? Is mere competence no longer the benchmark? I'm committed to exerting all necessary efforts. It's less about the financial incentive and more about contributing to the company's success and my own growth as a professional. I welcome the challenge that accompanies such goals, be it improving on processes, meeting sales targets, or any other objectives set before me. Any other objectives? Her phrasing cloaks a deeper meaning, one that eludes my grasp. We've concluded our decision. That completes our assessment for the sales specialist role. I have no further inquiries. May I ask about the next steps? I will proceed to communicate the outcome. So swiftly? Indeed. The dialogue has provided sufficient insight to determine your fit for our team. I was ready to cross any line. To weave the web of lies, if that's what it took. To downplay, if it would serve my purpose. At times, desperation is such that bargains with one's own conscience are off the table. It's as if you silence it. You convince yourself it's absent and do what is necessary to secure your desire. Whether my tactics bore fruit, only time would tell. Mr. Haishima, I appreciate the effort that you've made here today. I imagine being thrust into an interview so suddenly was quite the shock. Fortuitous for you to have been here in Mr. Takeshi's stead. Stead. It's a matter of perspective. Perhaps it was Mr. Takeshi's misfortune that became my serendipity. Either way, I stood to gain. However, am I prepared for her verdict? You've performed admirably. We find your profile to be quite satisfactory. So, I am pleased to inform you, you've secured the role of sales specialist at Kenyo Industry. Let's go! Did I succeed? Her words lifted a weight off my shoulders. I felt an urge to leap with joy, to dance. It seemed unreal. Finally, the grueling quest for employment had concluded. Could I dare to feel hopeful once more? I closed my eyes to savor the triumph, and that's when Miss Takamitsu spoke again. You're incredibly fortunate to join us, for we offer the finest conditions. We never demand overtime. Quite the opposite. We advocate for punctual departures and ample rest. Huh? Blinking opened my eyes. Something in Miss Takamitsu's appearance seemed amiss. Was this reality, or merely my mind playing tricks? Meanwhile, she went on. What? We provide regular bonuses and a variety of additional benefits. The company takes great care of our employees' well-being. Something was definitely off. With every word, her form altered further. But what stood before me moments ago as Miss Takamitsu continued. You won't regret joining our ranks. You'll find this place to be second home with no desire to depart. What in the world? A grotesque creature loomed before me. This wasn't Miss Takamitsu. Had my cherished dream morphed into a nightmare? A scream erupted from within as horror engulfed my senses. A monster! There's a monster here! Calm down, Mr. Hashimisa. Look at yourself. Are you talking about yourself?
What did she imply? In a flurry, I glanced at my hands. There was swelling stretching the fabrics of my sleeves. An odd tingling on my forehead compelled me to touch it. What was this? Bumps? Two of them? No, they're horns. I was metamorphosing into a creature from a horror flick. What triggered this? Is this permanent? What on earth is happening? This isn't how the interview was meant to conclude. Have I lost my mind? Is this an inescapable nightmare? Did I never actually wake up? Thoughts raced chaotically, threatening to shatter my mind in their frenzy to escape. I could no longer fend off the encroaching madness and let out a cry. Mr. Haishima! Mr. Haishima! Are you alright? What? My breaths were heavy, my chest heaved and surged for air.
Miss Takamitsu sat before me, utterly ordinary. You seemed distant after I announced your successful interview. So it was all a figment of my imagination? Was the fear of failure that profound? I'll notify the heads of sales he's expecting you in the office. Please, go meet the team. It's early for your first day, yet a perfect time for introductions. The eerie vision of Miss Takamitsu as a repulsed creature lingered in my mind. Thank goodness it was just a dream. Understood. Thank you. Miss Takamitsu directed me to the office. Stepping inside, I breathed a sigh of relief. I had made it. Turning to my new colleagues, I said, "Hey, I'm Kenji." This is cool. I'm a big fan of this. They have a lot of big words, but other than that, very, very good. And the music at the end, oh, so good. If you did enjoy this video, please remember to like and subscribe. Please suggest other visual novels that you'd like me to cover as well. And until next time, goodbye.